All right, let's talk about leadership. But we're not going to talk about it in the C-suite or the boardroom. No, we're going somewhere the pressure is way higher and everything feels personal. We're going to see how the ideas of one of history's greatest leaders can totally transform how we handle our toughest moments.
You know, in any community where people live and work closely together, a school boarding house is a perfect example, this is where you really see what a leader is made of. It's never on the easy days, right? It's in those moments when tempers are flaring, people disagree, and there's no easy answer. That's the moment of truth.
So what do you do? What's the right play? Do you just grab the rule book? Do you raise your voice and try to be the loudest person in the room? Or is there a better way to handle all that chaos? Well, the answer we're going to explore today comes from a leader who faced the absolute toughest tests imaginable. Yeah, we are turning to the principles of Nelson Mandela, not to get into politics, but to see how his incredible approach to conflict, to integrity, can actually be used in the day-to-day life of a community. And you'll see the lessons are, well, they're surprisingly spot on. So first, let's dig into why Mandela is such a powerful, if kind of unexpected guide for these situations. It all starts with understanding that there are two totally different ways to have authority.
And here's the split, right here. On one side, you've got leadership that just comes from your job title. You use rules, maybe fear, a loud voice to get people to do things. But on the other side, you've got the Mandela way. You earn authority. You earn it through your actions, through your restraint, and your unwavering dignity. See the difference? One is just given to you. The other has to be built.
This brings us right to the heart of it all, this idea of earned authority. Some people call it moral authority, and honestly, this is the foundation for this entire way of thinking. Moral authority has absolutely nothing to do with what's printed on your business card. It's all about how people feel when they're around you. Do they see you as fair, as consistent? You can't just demand it. You have to build it, slowly, one small, trustworthy action at a time. And this is exactly how people decide if you have it. In a place like a boarding house, the community is always watching. They're not just looking at the rules on the wall. They're looking at you, the person enforcing them. And they're asking these questions, maybe not out loud, but every single day. The answers they come up with? That determines who they're actually going to follow. So when it comes right down to it, it all boils down to one word: trust. Without trust, a rulebook is just a bunch of paper. But with it, you can guide a community through pretty much anything. Trust is the currency that makes everything else work. Okay, let's get practical. How do you handle those conflicts that are just bound to happen? Well, this part is all about putting the health of the whole community ahead of your own need to win an argument. Look, in any diverse group of people, tension is a given. It's going to happen. But division? That's a choice. Mandela's whole approach teaches us that a leader's real goal isn't to crush the other side or to prove a point. It's to handle the conflict in a way that never shames or pushes someone out. So here's the playbook for making that happen. First, bring the temperature down. Don't pour gasoline on the fire. Second, try to understand where they're coming from before you jump to conclusions. And third, the whole point is to bring people back into the fold, not shove them away. You can still have high standards while keeping the relationship solid. All right, this next idea, it might feel a little bit backward at first, because in a tough moment, our gut instinct is to flex, to show our power. But the Mandela method shows us that real strength, true power, is found in holding back, in showing restraint, and protecting the dignity of other people. So what does that actually look like? Well, it means you correct behavior, you don't shame the person, it means you have the tough conversations in private, not in front of an audience, and when you, as a leader, protect someone's dignity, even when they're in the wrong, you're not just solving a problem, you're literally modeling the kind of culture you want to build. And this brings us to a tool that is so often overlooked. You know, a lot of leaders are afraid to listen because they think it makes them look weak or like they agree with what's being said. But listening isn't about agreeing, it's about validating. It's about showing another human being that they matter enough to be heard. And a leader's job is to listen in every direction, to that young person who might be acting out because, frankly, they feel invisible, to your colleague who is just completely burned out, to a parent who has a totally different point of view. Taking them all seriously, that is a profound act of leadership. Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, let's pull back and look at the long game. What's the real impact of leading this way? Because in these kinds of environments, leadership isn't just about managing today, it's about shaping who people become tomorrow. I want you to just think back for a second to your own younger years. Do you remember every single little rule you had to follow? Probably not.
But I bet you remember how the people in charge made you feel. And that question, right there, gets to the heart of what really lasts.
The answer is pretty clear, isn't it? They don't remember the details in the handbook. They remember the culture. They remember the feeling of being treated with respect. And they remember the leaders who were able to be both kind and firm, the ones who chose to build up the community instead of just winning battles.
And this, right here, is the final, most important takeaway. The real legacy of a great leader isn't a list of rules. It's a lived experience, an experience of fairness, of courage, and a deep, unshakable commitment to human dignity. And that is the lesson that stays with a person for their entire life.